Imagine a piece of steel. On its own, it can be pretty useful. It can be used as a beam or a column in construction to add support to a structure. It can conduct electricity, although not quite as well as some other metals. It can even be turned into a decorative piece of art. It can go through its entire useful life cycle as a simple piece of steel, and that would be fine, as many pieces of steel do. But if that steel were to be magnetized, it gains the extraordinary ability to lift 12 times its own weight. From the outside looking in, nobody can physically see whether that piece of steel has been magnetized or not. But sure enough, the results are clear from the feats that it is able to perform. If you demagnetize that piece of steel, it can't even lift a single feather. Your mind is like that piece of steel. Those who are able to gain mastery over their subconscious mind are able to unlock abilities within themselves in truly remarkable ways, just like a piece of steel getting magnetized. In this video, I'll be summarizing the key takeaways from Joseph Murphy's book, The Power of Your Subconscious Mind, and I've organized the information into 3 segments. First, we'll cover the foundation for how your conscious and subconscious minds work. Then, we'll explore why exactly your subconscious is so powerful and why it's so important to understand these concepts using real-world examples illustrating its effectiveness. And finally, we'll bring it all together with specific tips and tactics that you can start using today and how you can apply these principles in your daily life to radically improve your chances at success wherever that success may be. I've also included examples from my own life and how I've personally been able to find success in both health and wealth using the principles from this book. Now, without further ado, let's dive in. How your conscious and subconscious minds work. The duality of your mind. Your mind can basically be segmented into 2 sections, your conscious mind and your subconscious mind, also sometimes referred to as your surface self and your deep self. Your conscious mind is what is most obvious and apparent to you. When you're thinking about any random topic throughout the day, or you're solving a problem at work, or you're talking to someone, you're using your conscious mind. Because you're able to consciously choose what to think about and what decisions you're going to take, you might feel like your conscious mind is the primary driver of the direction you're taking your life. The book argues that this view is incorrect, and that it is in fact your subconscious mind that is a far more powerful force, or at least no less impactful than your conscious mind. And therefore, it's absolutely critical to gain mastery over your subconscious mind. Otherwise, you are literally wasting at least 50% of your potential. The subconscious garden. While the main point from the section above is that you should not discount the power and importance of your subconscious mind, it's actually a bit overly simplistic to try and argue which one is more powerful, because it's an apples to oranges comparison. They both work very differently, and they each have their own capabilities and limitations. Understanding these nuanced differences is key. When someone asks you, "What is 2 plus 2?" and you think about it and answer 4, you're able to use logic and reasoning to arrive at an answer. This is something your conscious mind is very good at. But here's something it's not good at. If you're sitting in a chair and I tell you, without moving, I want you to increase your heart rate and body temperature using only your mind, it will be very, very difficult for you to do that. It's not very effective to try and talk to your body and say, heart rate increase, body temperature increase. But if you were walking home one day and you saw a group of hooligans beating up your dog, your subconscious mind would flip the following switches in your brain immediately. Your adrenal glands would flood your body with adrenaline and cortisol. Your heart rate, respiration, and body temperature would skyrocket. Your blood would be sucked away from your gut and pressed into your muscles. All of this would happen automatically and instantaneously, without ever receiving a single command to do any of these things from your conscious mind. That's just one of the many incredible powers of your subconscious. It can unlock latent super abilities from within you. But just like your conscious mind has significant limitations, so too does your subconscious mind. And that limitation is this: your subconscious mind is completely incapable of logic and reasoning. It simply believes what your conscious mind and external influences tell it to be true, as long as they tell it enough times. If you consciously assume something is true, even though it may be false, Your subconscious mind will accept it as true and proceed to bring about results. Once it believes something to be true to a high enough degree, the subconscious mind will then literally switch roles and start steering your conscious mind in the direction it wants to go, like a brain hijacking parasite. If you don't believe me, stick around and in a few minutes I'll give you a few real-world examples showing you just how powerful this is, including several medical conditions whose primary method of treatment is to reverse engineer this phenomenon. And I'm talking about in the Western world with modern medicine, and I'll go over the science behind it. We'll then go into how you can continue to reverse engineer this concept to unlock your potential in many other areas of your life that you're trying to succeed in. Your subconscious mind is like the soil, which accepts any kind of seed, good or bad. Your conscious mind is the watchman at the gate. Its chief function is to protect your subconscious mind from false impressions. Why your subconscious is so powerful and why these concepts are so important. Floaters and tinnitus. Here's a couple of real-world examples that actually aren't from the book, but don't worry, we'll go into book examples in just a moment. But these examples are from my personal life that I felt did a really good job at illustrating how the conscious to subconscious dynamic works, as well as just how powerful it is and how important it is to gain mastery of it. So eye floaters are a medical condition where these tiny jelly-like collagen fibers form in your eye and they start floating around, making it look like little floating jelly worms are in your field of vision, no matter where you look. If these happen to you, first of all, see a medical doctor immediately because there's a few different potential causes, and some of them can be urgent and serious. Luckily for me, it was just a natural part of aging. However, for a lot of people, including myself, the onset of these floaters can cause extreme anxiety. If you just go on Google Forums or Reddit, you'll see thousands of posts from people complaining about how these floaters are ruining their life, and I can definitely empathize. I went to a number of different ophthalmologists, and the answer was always this: stop looking at the floaters. Make a conscious effort to ignore them and go about your day. Eventually, after consciously ignoring them long enough, your subconscious will think that they are no longer worth paying attention to and will literally filter them out from your field of view. I thought this was complete BS for months, and actually thought they were getting worse because I was so focused on them. But after diligently following this advice for about 9 months, they eventually started to disappear, and after about a year, they were completely gone. To this day, if I try really hard and look at a completely white background, I can bring them back into focus. But otherwise, I literally never even notice them at all anymore. My brain just filters that information out completely. Another example is tinnitus, which is a constant, never-ending ringing sound in your ears. Myself and about 25 million other Americans suffer from this condition, and it appeared suddenly for me out of nowhere in 2021. This is significantly worse than floaters because you can't really escape it. And again, if you look on internet forums or Reddit, you'll see very sad and unfortunate stories of people literally being driven to madness because of it. I saw close to a dozen ENT doctors and audiologists, and most of them said that there was no cure and nothing I could do about it. But finally, I found one audiologist who specialized in this area, and they prescribed tinnitus retraining therapy, which uses very similar principles from this book. Here's how it works. The reason most people fall down these vicious spirals of tinnitus is because they hear the sound, it makes them upset, so they focus on it, which tells the subconscious brain, hey, this is something important that you should focus on, which makes the perception of that sound even louder and more anxiety-inducing, and so the spiral gets worse and worse. Every time you consciously think about something, you are inadvertently telling your subconscious that this is an important thing to focus on, which causes that groove in your brain that sends neurons to that topic to get deeper and deeper, making neurons fire in that direction far more quickly and easily moving forward. This is a widely understood phenomenon known as neuroplasticity. To combat this, tinnitus retraining therapy dictates that you pretty much wear a type of device 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, that plays a more soothing noise at a similar volume to the tinnitus but without drowning it out. The soothing noise helps calm you down and gives you something positive to focus on to make it easier to ignore the ringing noise. After about 9 to 18 months, for me it took about 15 months, I was completely cured of tinnitus. If I'm in a quiet room and I really focus on it, then I can hear it again, but it no longer causes me anxiety. And I honestly haven't heard the noise in months because my subconscious mind just automatically filters it out, just like the floaters. But the point of this video is not how to combat eye floaters or tinnitus. Although if you want me to make a dedicated video on the exact steps and tools I took to beat tinnitus, please let me know in the comments and I'll make one if folks are interested. The point of this section was just to illustrate how powerful the subconscious mind can be once you learn how to master it. It can literally help make black jelly worms in your vision invisible and the once deafening sound of ringing in your ears silent. And we can use this amazing power to boost our success in many other areas of life. And we'll go into those tactics in just a few minutes. The habitual thinking of your conscious mind establishes deep grooves in your subconscious mind. This is very favorable for you if your habitual thoughts are harmonious, peaceful, and constructive. Reticular activating system. Have you ever gotten a new car and then all of a sudden while you're driving, you start seeing that car everywhere now? This is due to your reticular activating system, or RAS, which is responsible for filtering out information your subconscious believes to be useless and zooming in on information your subconscious believes to be relevant. It's unbelievable how powerful the system is, and there's a ton of amazing studies and self-tests you can do to see what I'm talking about. If you're interested, you can pause this video and search basketball awareness test on YouTube. Otherwise, I'll just describe what happens in that video here. The viewer is asked to count how many times a basketball is passed on the screen between a group of people for about a minute. At the end of the video, the viewer is asked, how many times was the basketball passed? Most people get the answer to this question correct. However, then the viewer is asked, but did you see the dancing gorilla who walked into the center of the screen and started dancing? To this question, most people say no, they had no idea that even happened, and are shocked when they rewatch the video. Here is why this concept of the reticular activating system is so relevant. Every time you walk by something that's nice but too expensive, and you think, I could never afford that. Or when you see someone successful and you think, the system is so rigged, I don't have the same opportunities to be that successful. You are shooting yourself in the foot because remember, your subconscious mind and your reticular activating system are taking you at your word that this is the truth. And because it is now assuming, indeed, the system is rigged against you, you will never be able to afford that car. It will avoid directing any resources to your senses or your brain power to be on the lookout for opportunities for success. What's even worse is that you'll get hit twice as hard because of the well-established psychological phenomenon known as confirmation bias, where once your deep subconscious has basically decided what the truth is, it directs your conscious mind to go and seek evidence supporting the decision that it has already made. Here's how painfully powerful this psychological phenomenon is. The United States Supreme Court, in theory, is supposed to be comprised of the most experienced, logical judges in the country who are the most competent in their field at interpreting the Constitution. However, the reality is that in almost every single case, the average citizen can easily predict exactly how each judge will vote on a particular case, because the ideology, values, and emotions that comprise the subconscious mind have already made the decision for how they plan to vote before they even take the case. And once the case starts, they spend time formulating logic and trying to find evidence to support the decision that they've already made from the beginning. As annoying as this is, it's important to understand, because this is exactly how most human beings, including yourself, operate on a day-to-day basis, unless you take active steps to fight against this automaton-like behavior. For example, when you say, I can't do this, I am too old now, I can't meet this obligation, I was born on the wrong side of the tracks, I don't know the right politician, you are impregnating your subconscious with these negative thoughts, and it responds accordingly. You are actually blocking your own good, thereby bringing lack, limitation, and frustration into your life. Reversing decades of damage. By the time you're reading this book or listening to the summary, your subconscious has already been imprinted with millions of data points over the decades of your life, either from the way you talk to yourself or the things that others have said to you. From the moment you've learned how to speak and form logical thoughts, how many times have you been told, either from someone else or from your own thoughts, one or more of the following things? You're not good enough. It's not what you know, but who you know. That was rigged. Life is just an endless grind. This is pointless. You're too young to be able to do this. You're too old to be able to do this. You can't trust anybody. The world is going in a horrible direction. Don't waste your time trying this, you'll probably fail. What initially seems like harmless thoughts or well-intentioned advice is actually doing long-term harm to your subconscious, with each instance acting like another nail being hammered into a fence post. The bad news is that over your lifetime, you've likely had millions of these corrupting imprints added to your subconscious, so there is a lot of catching up to do if you want to set it on the right path. The good news is that with enough time, patience, and consistency, you can absolutely reverse course and make your subconscious powers your strongest ally by using the techniques that we're about to dive into now. If you look back, you can easily recall how parents, friends, relatives, teachers, and associates contributed in a campaign of negative suggestions. Study the things said to you, and you will discover much of it was in the form of propaganda. How to fully utilize the power of your subconscious in your daily life. Would you swear around your child? Imagine your subconscious as a small child that you are in charge of raising. The better job you do of raising them to be competent, productive, and respectable, the better job they will do at taking care of you in the future. But just like a curious child, it is always watching what you say and what you do. It even has the superpower of reading your thoughts, so it is also always listening in on what you're thinking. Because of this, the first step is simple. Watch what you say and watch what you think. And remember, just like ChatGPT, it is incapable of deciphering truth from lies. It will assume everything it hears is the truth. So think positive thoughts, not negative ones. Complain less and feel gratitude more. Think about your goals and the steps you need to take to achieve them, and stop thinking about all the perceived reasons of why you think you could fail. This will nurture your subconscious into eventually diverting your mind and body's innate resources to help you achieve those goals. Every thought is a cause, and every condition is an effect. Never use the terms, "I can't afford it," or "I can't do this." Your subconscious mind takes you at your word. Also be careful with the self-deprecating humor. What you joke about falls under the same umbrella as what you say. Your subconscious is no fun at parties because it does not know how to take a joke. Once again, it will simply interpret it as the truth. Watch what you say. You have to account for every idle word. Never say, "I will fail," "I will lose my job," "I can't pay the rent." Your subconscious mind cannot take a joke. It brings all these things to pass. Take the driver's seat. Given that your subconscious mind has already been imprinted upon for decades before you've discovered how to properly nurture it, it has already developed a personality and is already trying to steer your life and your conscious thought into certain directions. It is important to be hyper-aware of when these instances occur, such as when you feel anxiety, irrational fear, self-doubt, or limiting beliefs, and then consciously articulate thoughts with a deep sense of authority to tame that unruly subconscious. An example of an affirmation that you can use from the book is this: "Be still, be quiet. I am in control, you must obey me. You are subject to my command. You cannot intrude where you do not belong." The Baudoin Technique. Charles Baudoin was a psychotherapist and professor at the Rousseau Institute in France in the early 1900s. He taught a technique that helps you influence your subconscious more effectively by using 2 steps. The first step is to take the idea you want to impress upon your subconscious and condense it down into a very short phrase, maybe a couple of sentences. Basically something that is extremely easy to remember. The second step is to consistently find time throughout the day to get yourself into an ultra-relaxed, drowsy, sleepy state, and then quietly in your mind, repeat that condensed phrase over and over again in your mind, like a lullaby, which will help engrave that idea deeper and deeper into your subconscious. Examples you can use here are, "I always focus without getting distracted," or "Achieving financial freedom in the next 12 months is possible and is within reach." The sleeping technique. How many times have you spent the day really struggling with a difficult dilemma, and then you eventually go to bed, and when you wake up, the solution is clear as day? The age-old advice of sleep on it has a lot of truth to it. Our subconscious mind's ability to parse through data and store it where it needs to go is really remarkable. And piggybacking off the previous technique, we want to suggest which information it parses through and stores during periods of deep drowsiness and relaxation. And the best times to do this are right before bed and right when you wake up. This is when your deep mind is most impressionable to suggestion. So take that short phrase that we talked about in the previous section and for 5 to 10 minutes right before bed and right when you wake up, slowly and calmly repeat it in your mind. This is also a great habit to do in the morning that can replace the bad habit of checking your phone right when you wake up, which sets your mind into a hyper-reactive state for the rest of the day. Prior to sleep, turn over a specific request to your subconscious mind and prove its miracle working power to yourself. Don't create imaginary obstacles. If you dwell on obstacles, delays, and difficulties, your subconscious mind responds accordingly, and you are blocking your own good. Imagine someone asks you to walk across a plank that's on the floor. You would likely be able to do this easily and without even thinking about it. But if that same plank was raised 30 feet in the air and you tried to walk across it, you would have a much more difficult time because of the fear and anxiety going through you. What was once a simple and easily achievable task has become a difficult and anxiety-inducing one instead, even though in reality, the task is exactly the same. The only difference is in your mind. You can interfere with the normal rhythm of your heart, lungs, and other organs by worry, anxiety, and fear. Feed your subconscious with thoughts of harmony, health, and peace, and all the functions of your body will become normal again. Block and dodge. Imagine you're walking down the street and a mouth-breathing 12-year-old walks up to you and says that the red hat you're wearing looks stupid. There is a 0% chance that your mood would be impacted even in the slightest, because you know for an absolute fact that you're not even wearing a hat. You would immediately think, without a doubt, that surely there is just something wrong with this child. The same principle can be applied when others try to impose their own negative, limiting beliefs on you, when they confidently proclaim, "It's not going to work," or "The cards are stacked against you," or "You'll just be wasting your time." The suggestions and statements of others have no power to hurt you. The only power is the movement of your own thought. You can choose to reject the thoughts or statements of others and affirm the good. You have the power to choose how you will react. What works even better, though, is if you can avoid people who try to impose limiting beliefs on you in the first place. For me personally, growing up, I've always been surrounded by friends, family, classmates, and teachers who advise that the best way to success is to follow the beaten path, to do really well in school, get a high-paying job, even if it requires 60-hour work weeks, contribute to your 401k, buy a house as your primary residence, start building equity, and if you do want to go the path of entrepreneurship, that you need to come up with something completely innovative that others haven't done before, or you need to find a business problem that nobody else can fix better than you can. I eventually came to learn that all of this is complete BS. And this is coming from someone who's worked both on Wall Street and global consulting. It wasn't until I stepped way outside my comfort zone and flew out to Miami for a friend of a friend's party that I was introduced to a new social circle of people in their mid-20s, pulling in high six-figure profits and working a fraction of the hours that I was at the time by running really simple online businesses. There was nothing innovative or revolutionary about them. In fact, it was the opposite. The philosophy was to find something that already works and just do the same thing. It went completely against everything my esteemed professors had taught me at college. If I were to try to explain this to anyone back home, they would think I've gone insane. You really are the average of the 5 people you spend the most time around. Other people's limiting beliefs will literally leak out of them and seep into your pores. So if you have the option, really try to be mindful about who you're spending time around. And if you do find yourself having to spend time around negative influences, use the book suggestions of consciously blocking them out. Turn off the news. Pick up the paper any day, and you can read dozens of items that could sow the seeds of futility, fear, worry, anxiety, and impending doom. Do you have any friends or relatives who are really into politics? Look back on their thoughts and behaviors over the last 5 to 10 years. Have they become more moderate and tempered? Or have they gotten more extreme? In my experience, it's been the latter. Unless you've chosen the career path of a professional activist, here's why it's so detrimental to go down these political spirals, regardless of whether you wear a red tie or a blue tie. What news and media outlets have discovered a long time ago is that there is a small group of emotions that disproportionately cause humans to click on their content more often and watch their content for longer. Those emotions are anger and fear. This is a huge incentive for them, because the more clicks and watch time they get, the more profit they earn from their advertisers because they're driving more traffic. If you don't believe me, do the following experiment. Take a full day to watch your favorite news channel this weekend, whether that be CNN or Fox News. Take out a notepad, and every 30 minutes, note down whether the content in the past half hour can be categorized as happy and positive, or whether it was based on anger, fear, or ridicule. Just like the experiment we discussed 5 minutes back, where the simple task of walking on a plank becomes exponentially more difficult when your mind is filled with fear and anxiety, watching the news is like inserting a giant feeding tube into your mind and opening the floodgates to fill it with fear, anxiety, and anger. This will cause your subconscious to divert all of its resources to those topics and emotions, and there will be no resources left to discover thoughts and ideas that can drive your own life forward. Begin to think from the standpoint of the eternal truths and principles of life, and not from the standpoint of fear, ignorance, and superstition. Do not let others do your thinking for you. Choose your own thoughts and make your own decisions. Jealousy and envy. Envy is one of the biggest stumbling blocks in mastering your subconscious. When you look at other people who are better off than you, and instead of giving them a congratulations and wishing them the best, you feel envious or jealous of them, you are implying to your subconscious that there is scarcity rather than abundance, and that there is not enough to go around. Your subconscious takes you at your word that there is indeed not enough to go around. So why would it bother expending energy looking for opportunities if they don't exist? To entertain envious thoughts is devastating because it places you in a very negative position. Therefore, wealth flows from you instead of to you. If you are ever annoyed or irritated by the prosperity or great wealth of another, claim immediately that you truly wish for him greater wealth in every possible way. This will neutralize the negative thoughts in your mind and cause an ever greater measure of wealth to flow to you by the law of your own subconscious mind. Forgiveness. This one is simple. Learn forgiveness and don't hold on to grudges. All they do is weigh down your subconscious with the negative thoughts. Life forgives you when you cut your finger. The subconscious intelligence within you sets about immediately to repair it. Find your arena. Elephants are amazing creatures. They are the world's largest land animal. They're incredibly strong, and they can use their trunks like we use our hands. There are a huge number of tasks that an elephant can perform better than any other creature on this planet. But if you tell an elephant to climb a tree, it's going to fail. Don't be an elephant trying to climb a tree. Find the right arena for you to compete in. The first step to success is to find out the thing you love to do and then do it. Success is in loving your work. The second step to success is to specialize in some particular branch of work and know more about it than anyone else. The third step is to make sure that the thing you want to do does not redound to your success only. Your desire must not be selfish. It must benefit humanity. Build a life where you can find both joy and meaning. To tie everything together, here are some of the main takeaways. You have to use your conscious mind to train your subconscious mind. Your conscious mind should be both a security guard against harmful intruders, such as inner limiting beliefs, external negative comments, the news, and feelings of envy or grudges. And it should also be a skilled gardener, nurturing the core beliefs and values inside your subconscious with the various techniques discussed in the book and in the summary to grow positive beliefs deep inside your mind and to redirect your subconscious to allocate resources to the right areas. It's important to remember to be patient. You can't just say to yourself before bed, I'm a millionaire, and expect to magically become wealthy the next day. Training your subconscious takes time, but it can work wonders if you stick with it. If after a year of conscious effort, you can train your brain to make floating things in your eyes disappear and ringing sounds in your ears inaudible, imagine what else you can train it to do in terms of skyrocketing your focus, exploding your energy levels, and allocating your brain power to uncover opportunities for financial success. Just like with the basketball and dancing gorilla experiment, the way you train and nurture your subconscious mind will determine whether you're able to notice the opportunities dancing right in front of you or whether you'll remain stuck in place, overly focused on the wrong things. As Joseph Murphy concisely summarizes, you are the sum total of your own thoughts. I hope this summary has helped the ideas and concepts from this book resonate with you, and I hope you have as much success applying them in your own life as I've had applying them in mine. And if you like this video, please do me a huge favor by giving this video a thumbs up and subscribing. It really helps this channel grow and reach more people, and it also helps support me in making more content just like this. Thank you again so much for watching. Good luck in your adventure, and I'll see you in the next one.